the disaster management team. So I've got a briefing on the issues of what has happened. I'm not going to go into the details in terms of the numbers of the people, except to say the numbers which they might talk about are the unconfirmed numbers. The unconfirmed numbers which we have been told is that there were 81 people in this particular site. So the number has changed from the original 75, which people were talking about. But I think they can be able to categorize exactly who is deceased, or what number of the deceased people, what number of the injured, but they are still outstanding people. They would be able to tell us about that. But what we can be able also to emphasize, we have agreed with the MEC. In fact, it's not even an agreement. It's statutory that there are different roles which we are playing here. As the police are in control at this stage, they will do their own work unhindered. But at some stage, the police will hand over, once they are done with their work, they will hand over to the Department of Employment and Labor, the department which will be able to start with its own investigations. Our investigations then are informed by the Occupational Health and Safety Act, in particular, that's Section 31 and 32 of what normally happens and when we're faced with such incidents. Some of you would remember we've had an incident or a number of incidents like this. It might not have been in the construction. We've had an incident in Denel where, if I'm right, about 28 people died. We had an incident in the farm in Worcester and so on. But the inspectors, we have our own inspector, Mr. David Esau. He's going to be our point man. He's going to be our spokesperson as the Department of Employment and Labor, as we are not going to be here on a daily basis, but he's going to be stationed here from the side of the Employment and Labor. We've therefore agreed and had an understanding that given our different statutory roles as different levels of government, as different departments, we will play those roles, but we have to do them cooperatively, supporting one another. It's not a competition. And also we can't play politics with the lives of the workers. Now, what we have agreed is the investigations which any interested party wants to do, they will do those investigations. But we will also do our own investigation. And we will be informed by the police once they are done. Already we have heard that the provincial government will have its own investigations. But at the end, once we get the investigation in particular of the police and our investigations, we can be able to say, this is what we're going to do. But also, I want to emphasize what we cannot do at this stage. There's a lot of rumor. We don't want to speculate. We don't want to speculate. We will leave everything to the investigations. And then once the investigations have been able to expose the facts, we will talk into that. I know that the Minister of Copta, nationally, has an interest in this matter. The Minister of Human Settlement also has an interest. Definitely, the Minister of Police has an interest on the matter, as I do as the Minister of Employment and Labor. So we will be following through our people on the ground what is happening. But I think social development, we have heard the MEC for Social Development in the province speaking. Social development nationally also has an interest. But the last department which we think that has an interest, and we were informed by the MEC for Social Development, is going to be international relations, because we cannot be able to communicate with some of the families in terms of the language, especially when you talk Portuguese and you also talk the other languages. So we would need to talk to the various missions who are here in South Africa to send their people to be here, so that we can be able, as people are getting counseling, they are able to communicate properly with the families. So that's what I can say. This is a stage that we have to put our differences aside and just work. We know that it's election time. We can be able to say anything, but now it is about the disaster which has affected the poor workers, but also our responsibility. It is also about what we would call the social protection of these workers. We have the compensation we have to deal with through our COIDA, but we can only do that once everybody, or once all those people have been identified. Then that's what we can be able to do. I'm here today with a very heavy heart on what I've seen. I don't want to speculate anything. We've made an appeal, and we're going to continue making an appeal that those families are crying just for one thing, that as much as we're here as government, that's what the MEC told us, as much as we're here as government, they would love to talk to the employer, because that's the employer would engage their own relatives. It would be good that the employer, wherever he is, or the owners, whoever they are, that they are able to come and, from a moral point of view, to come and just talk to these families. That's where we are. But I'm going to allow first the MEC to say something, and then after that, I will allow the police.
Can we ask you questions, please?
No, before that.
Thank you, Minister, and again, thank you for being here. Yes, you've stated it. It's with a very heavy heart that we all stand here, very anxious, because we still hope and pray that we can get people out alive. I think from my side, Minister, it's just very important to emphasize that this investigation through the different sectors and departments will be independent, and that's why I'm very grateful that it's different clusters that's going to do this investigation, so that we can ensure and make sure that this investigation is independent, and that we will not leave any stone untouched to get to the bottom of this, and the people responsible will be held accountable. We can assure the public that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister, members of the media, to the families of the departed, to those that are in hospital recovering, to those that we have still not recovered. Minister, I think you have covered it all. We want to send our heartfelt condolences to those that have departed and the families wherever they are. I must say, Minister, as you have indicated, members of the media, that we are here, the teams are here, all different disciplines of the police that are going to do their responsibility, from investigation to the search and rescue teams. We have also deployed the animals that are relevant to the mission that we are currently busy with. This is a disaster area. It is a crime scene because people have perished, and we are continuing to do our investigation and continue to do so until we have retrieved the last person, either saved, recovered, or retrieved in whatever form. That is the commitment that we are doing. We have Minister summoned the resources from Pretoria, from Eastern Cape, which is closer to the Cape Town, and from other parts of Cape Town, just to make sure that there is no fatigue on the resources that are here, so that we can have shifts and we are working 24 hours. The investigation is underway. and will allow the investigators to do so until they have concluded, and as the minister have indicated, and hand over the crime scene to the relevant department to do the necessary. Thank you very much.
Thank you, colleagues. I'm going to allow for questions, and please let us not be selfish and have 5 questions. We can just have 2 questions each. So, show of hands. 1, 2,
She was very
3,
desperate.
4. Yeah, right from the beginning.
Yeah.
Yes. So we can go 1, 2, 3, 4 in this order. I'll come this side. I've noted. We'll start here in front. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes.
All right. Minister Sipa Kema from Newsroom Africa. I just want to touch on, I know you're saying let's clear out the speculations, let's stop with that, but I do understand you will be waiting for SABC's investigation, but I do believe some of the officials have been on site from Tuesday already. So what information have you conducted? I mean, I do believe that some of the information that came from the labor inspectors were the additional numbers that we're seeing today, which is 81 instead of the 75. So just tell us about some of the what you have found with your investigations thus far.
Well, what we did was to secure the records. We've not started the actual investigation, just to secure the records, because it's part of our protocol to ensure that in a site like this, no records must disappear. That's what we have secured. And in terms of the records, when we're reconciling the numbers which people were talking about, with the records we have, we came to the 81 of the people who were in this site. We're just still at that particular stage. Nothing more we can be able to say.
Sorry, can I just touch on, I know, sorry. Just, I
said 2 questions.
It was one, okay. I just, I heard, Minister, that you were asking, or rather it was sounding like an announcement to the owners. So has the department not met with the company as of yet?
Thus far, in terms of what I've been briefed, not yet. We do not know where they are.
Thank you. Next question.
Hi, Minister. Martin from News 24. Minister, we've spoken to a lot of family members and many of them are foreign nationals. Are you concerned about that, and will your investigation be looking into it? And do you have any timelines perhaps on when this investigation will be wrapped up?
When we're dealing with a matter as sensitive as this, you can't put the timeline, because you have to dig deep. So some of the investigations have taken us 6 months, some a year or even more. But let's allow for those investigations, because sometimes, depending on the evidence which we get, they can implicate people. That's why we have to be meticulous in our processes. And I guess it's the same thing that we don't know when the police are going to be able to hand over the site to us. And we can't even say this is the start and the end date. So we will leave it there. But also, you know that we've been talking about this issue of the foreign nationals. But at this stage, it's not about foreign nationals or the nationals. It is about the human beings. Human beings who have the rights, whose rights are supposed to be protected, regardless of their status, regardless of their nationality. We have raised the concerns how some of the employers have preferred the foreign nationals. Just because they are cheap labor, they are just desperate people who will take any job. They will be able to undermine the labor laws, the basic conditions of employment, and grab the people. Some of them documented, some of them undocumented. But we are not on that issue now. Here we're dealing with a disaster. We need to help those families. And we need to make sure that those who are injured, they are taken care of, to make sure that all of them, in terms of the social protection, they are able to get what they are supposed to get. And we always say, The workers' rights are also human rights.
Minister, just in terms of the point that a lot of the victims were foreign nationals, which foreign missions are you approaching?
At the moment, we are going to approach in terms of the briefing, and we'll do it through the International Relations Department. We can't do it ourselves because those protocols must be respected. We are going to be approaching the Mozambicans, we are going to be approaching the Malawians, am I right? And Zimbabwe, yes.
Thank you, colleagues. Can we move a bit so that we can allow these colleagues to ask the questions?
Corinda, Minister, I just want to please clarify as well from the Western Cape government with regards to the you mentioned that you don't know where they are. Has the Western Cape government managed to contact them? Who are we exactly searching for? You say you don't know where they are. Do you know who exactly it is? Have you contacted them? Are they on the run? Please clarify this.
Where's David?
David is here. No, he'll respond. Thanks, Minister.
David, this is David Essa.
Yes.
He's our chief inspector and who has been dealing with the situation here in the Western Cape. He can be able to clarify this question.
Thank you and good afternoon. We have, the day we arrived, we then tried to make contact with the client, which is the owner of this premises. The address on our system, we went to that address and it was locked. We then proceeded to issue a subpoena. And up until today, there has been no response from that particular person. So we will proceed with our legal processes. I'm hearing everywhere that he's making contact with people through his attorneys. That's not our business. He is obliged by law to make contact with the Department of Labor. Thank you.
Minister, for those victims who may have been undocumented, are there reassurances that can be provided that the families who approach hospitals and authorities for information will be protected from any consequences of being undocumented?
Can I allow the police to respond to that?
Thank you very much, Minister. I don't think the Minister have indicated that there are people that are undocumented. The investigation is underway. We cannot at this stage confirm that there are undocumented people amongst those that we retrieved, amongst those that we rescued. So we cannot at this stage confirm the undocumented people. Thank you.
I have a question. Is this an operation of rescue or is it an operation of recovery? Or is it both?
That's any. Let's allow the disaster to say something, the leader of the disaster team.
Yes, at this point, to answer your question first, we are still looking for survivors. So it will stay rescue all along. Although we're going to harder measures now in terms of the recovery to speed up the processes, but we have to always consider the safety of our people out here, the rescue workers as well. But it will stay, I always pray, until the last day, that we do get people, that we can still get people alive in this.
So the answer is very simple. Given the fact that there were fatalities and what happened here, the first stage is this rescue stage which he's talking about, and try and recover what you can be able to. And then that's why our investigations are delayed. We can't start with those investigations until this team, together with the police are very central to this, have been able to say, we've been able to do this, we're satisfied with ourselves, then they can hand over to the other. But let's allow the Deputy Commissioner to say something.
To reiterate the response that was given earlier, it will remain the rescue operation. There are international standards. I think as the media we can attest to the fact that there was a disaster incident that happened in Turkey. We have dispatched the rescue team from South Africa Africa, flying all the way to Turkey, and we recovered a 92-year-old alive after so many hours that he was trapped in the building. So we cannot at this stage say that we are at another level. We are still at the stage that we want to get as many people alive from this scene as possible.
Thank you. Minister Kevin Brown from ENC, I just want to know in your talks with the experts now on the scene, any mention of the technical aspects of the construction in itself, maybe suggesting that corners were cut, building practices or regulations flouted?
The investigations later on will be able to answer that question. We can't say anything at this stage.
And just from Mr. Iso, the company whose door you knocked on, so that we're absolutely clear, just the name of where you knocked. Is it a George-based company? Where is that company based?
Well, if you go onto the website, you will see it says George-based company. I will not further elaborate on that matter. Okay? Thanks.
Thank you very much to all of the media houses, and thank you for the time and the questions. We will continue to be here as the minister will leave, and for the Department of Employment and Labour, David Esau, for all queries, for all questions and responses, David is going to be doing that.
Before they ask your number on the site, David,
Yes.
give it.
Yes.
No, give it to them, all of them, just tell, so that...
And I'll do it slow so that I don't like misspelling. So David as in the Bible.
Questions.
And the surname is Iso, E-S-A-U. My title is Provincial Chief Inspector for the Department of Employment and Labour in the Western Cape. Thank you. And my number is 082-791-4485. It will still be on Google and YouTube because I was also responsible during COVID to go onto the media. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You are the minister, but we'll leave
Mario, they want us to lean you slightly further back. That just thank you very much. You know what I mean? Yeah, but now it's because so much pain. Marvin. That's my favorite. As I said,
Thank you. Andikuva kaloku because ndifake nalelo ngaba simnqandile simane sithi hayi don't worry sizamile okusisithi nakuye imane kwaphaya uzakwenza la multi-shot ke ba
Yeah.